city and it's all on me. Time, no time when the love so blind that you're all I can see. Know the night won't be the same if you don't leave with me. Ass up, head down, every time you dress down, no, I like it. 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 Good ass girl in the badass city, got the itty bitty titty, but the ass come with it. Got you hoping that a flash come with it. Looking single in the club, but you hoping that a man don't get it. And she pulling up late night, no tease, play.
All right, there we go. Y'all already know it's me, Big Mike. We in the show. We in the building.
What's going on?
What's going on, Big Mike?
Not much, man. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Yeah, whatever, man. You say not much. Mike always got something going on. This is why he always in his car, because he's always doing something.
I'm at my son's training with him and his best friend, who hopefully in 8 years you're hearing both of them going to some major college.
Hopefully so, man. Y'all know the 60 for 60 podcast. We try to do 8 o'clock, but we've been bouncing around. I'm thinking about changing the day, maybe the time. I'm not sure. We're gonna talk about it, but we might switch it up a little bit. I don't know, Mike. Let's get into it, man. We don't got a lot of time, so we're gonna be real quick today.
Yeah.
So for Chop It Up, man, we're gonna talk about our experiences, my experiences with semi-pro, your experiences with semi-pro. Maybe we'll talk a little bit outside of that, just a little bit. I think something really cool that I stumbled upon, I know you had something to do with this, was the revival of some CT Giants film.
Oh God, I wasn't in that. I wasn't.
You really wasn't?
No, I wasn't in 05. 05.
I thought it was a little early for you.
Well, so I tried to explain this to CT Locker Room because he also found the film. And I was like, from 01 to 04, I'm in there. And then 04, 05 is when I started getting my opportunities to go to other things. So I started going to arena football, having my tryouts and all that stuff. So then I periodically would come back and forth. Like I'd be on the team, but I would be somewhere else and then come back. And then play a game and then go somewhere else for a tryout. So from like 05 to I want to say all the way up to 08. I want to say, it's so long ago. 08, I was on the Connecticut Giants. So I was on the Connecticut Giants, but I just wasn't on a lot of the film that you have past 05 due to the fact that I was always trying to further more my career. Funny thing is, the one game I did find, it was in 06, and I literally led the team out, and I didn't play it down.
That's crazy.
The whole game, I'm watching, and I'm like, why am I not playing? And then I realized that was the game that I ended up talking to one of the other Giants, and I was like, dude, why did I not play in this game? And he goes, you were hurt, but Coach Tim wanted you there. I was like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, because I saw myself and I was like, well, there I am. And then I'm like, why am I not starting? Like, why am I not even playing? I didn't play it out. So I was like, but that was when that's when my shoulder injury started to really take over.
Around that time, bet.
Yeah.
So look, it got me thinking. Like, I know a lot about the Giants. Well, not a lot, but I know enough about the Giants to know that they was a serious program, man, and they took everything serious, especially practice. So, got me thinking, like, what's the best practice that you've ever been a part of in minor league football? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I started off from me. The best practice that I ever went to was the Westchester Steelers, which was a team I think I saw you guys played during that time. When I first got to minor league, they had everything set up. We had bags, we had cones, we had stations. Everything was timed. It felt like I was in college again. We was competing. We had one-on-ones.
Yep.
We sprinted at the end of practice, like to the point where like I almost threw up. I was like, damn, like we working hard.
Yep.
That was my first introduction. Some of the dudes out there was really good. I remember Trammell being out there. Shout out to Trammell. But yeah, the Steelers practice. And then I would say like early on this season when we was having the Falcons practices, like very early on before you got there.
Before I got there.
Guys were really motivated. I think we still had the sour taste in our mouth from last season, and we were like going at it in practice, man. Everybody was there. Everybody wanted to get it right early on, and it just had that vibe. You know what I'm saying? The practice still wasn't quite as structured as I wanted it to be, but like the vibe was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it my turn?
Yep.
Oh, for semi-pro, I hate to say it, but I'm gonna have to go back to Connecticut Giants, man. Those practices were run like a pro team, or at least a college team. You know, we definitely. I can tell you this. I remember I'll tell you a backstory real quick. So the how I got to try out for the Giants was obviously, I played for Central Connecticut State University.
Yep.
I got into an altercation, and I lost my ride to play college football. Due to the altercation, I was removed from the team. So I was trying in that process, and remember, this is back in 2000, so this is back when there was dial-up internet.
Facts.
And I typed in on whatever the stream, AOL, I think it was, and I was trying to transfer to WestCon because I had gotten heavily recruited by WestCon. And because it was D3, I thought I was better than I thought I was better than D3, to be honest with you, and wanted to play Division 1 or Division 1 AA because I felt like that was my best chance of going to the NFL. But anyway, after I screwed up Central, tried to transfer over, so I was trying to get in contact with some people and get my transcripts and everything to switch over. And in doing that, I typed in WestCon football, and the Connecticut Giants had a tryout like the week following the day that I was looking on the search, and I ended up talking to the head coach, and he was like, "Listen, man, if you come and you transfer out, you got to sit here." So this is before like the transfer portal and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So because I was going Division 1 to Division 3, you got to sit a whole year. You can't just jump in. It's kind of like being a AAA player going to single A. So I'm like, well, fuck it. I might as well go play. I'm gonna go try out for this team. Went, and the tryout was legitimately that. I mean, they had your 40-yard dash. They had, everything that you do in a combine setting, plus one-on-ones and all that stuff. And then, we'll call you and tell you if you're going to do it. So that was my introduction to like a professional-esque team that was semi-pro. But to me, back in the day, it was so organized that it was almost like I'm trying out for the New York Giants. So for me, that was probably one. And then I'll never forget this. We had a practice, and all our practices were tough. Like, we went at each other. And that whole saying, like, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, that's a fact. It looked like it. Them boys were clinging on that film.
I mean, the other thing, too, is back then, that's when I was more of a defensive player. So I would play defense, but every time an offensive lineman got hurt, I would switch over and become an offensive lineman.
Right.
And then at some point in the Connecticut Giants, I became more of an offensive weapon than I did a defensive weapon, because we had so many people on that team that were ex-NFL guys, college football players, all-star athletes from, Connecticut and New York that I was,
ridiculous, just ridiculous.
It was, it was just one of those things where, like, they didn't need me, but it was good to have me. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. Like, I could have never played for the Connecticut Giants, and they still would have ran for all their championships. Like, I hate to say it like this, as good as I am and as good as I was then, I wasn't even a factor. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good these guys were. Like, I could get hurt. The next guy behind me was just as good as me.
So then that brings me to like the next step then. Like, what was the best like game environment? And like, I guess your teams, you know what I'm saying, could have an influence on that. I know when I'm playing with a more competitive team, that's when I feel like I'm really locked in the most, you know what I'm saying? And I think for me, my best game environment was when I was with the New York Rebels and we played the Brooklyn Seminoles. Like we was in Brooklyn, we was in their place down in what I call a swamp.
Mhm.
I don't even know the real name of that field, and I played at that field in high school, but we was down there and it was a nasty. It started out really nice, and then it started to drizzle, and it just became a nasty day. It's a grass field,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
G Block was doing his thing, and Legree was doing his thing, and like we went at it. I think it came down to a last second touchdown, but like the crowd was just in it. Everybody was talking in crap, and it just you knew it was a lot on the line because it was the two best teams. Like that was just one of the best environments. I would say that, and then this last championship game that we had with the Falcons too. Like this was a really special season because that championship game, like I know the Patriots came a little light, but like they still came ready to rock and roll. Like they was locked in. We had the crowd with us. Same thing, like bad weather a little bit. Like it was
Uh,
nice weather and it was bad weather and it was nice weather. But like that environment just had me locked in again. It was everything that I wanted in football. So I don't know. What's your experience?
um. All right, so I'll do two for semi-pro football. My last year with the Connecticut Giants, we had a home game, and I cannot for the life of me remember the team we were playing, but it was a team that we hated and they hated us, and like past years cops got called and altercations happened and all that stuff. And but there was like 400 people in that game. So to
Damn,
play, to
that's a
play
good.
minor, well, that's what I'm saying. To play a minor league game and look in the stands, and for me, I played at a small high school. You know, maybe 150. Yeah, 150 people were at my high school games. Maybe 200. I might be selling my high school a little short, but you know, we didn't have a big stand, so everybody was standing, so it didn't look. Everybody was dispersed,
Yeah.
so it looked very small compared to everybody being stuck on the stands. Um, so to sit there in the stands, and we played at oh god, it was it's out in New Milford. We played in New Milford at that point.
At the
Later,
high school?
yeah, EC Goodwin, was it EC Goodwin? No, I'll give you as soon as it was in Milford, but it was a high school that was right next to a Wendy's, so it was very convenient for me, being that I'm a big man. You know, you got
Yeah.
right to Wendy's. But anyway, there was like three to 400, even possibly 500 people at this game. And we remember the Connecticut Giants. We had cheerleaders, we had dancers, we had all that stuff.
Facts.
You know, they got those cheerleaders, they got the crowd going. You know, and a lot of us that were on the team, our families came out. Like our families came out. So even when we had a low audience, it was still 200 people just due to everybody's mom and dad and cousins and friends and everybody were over. So this game in particular, both sides were stacked. And I remember it was one of those games where it was tight until like the fourth quarter. And then we ended up returning, I think, I want to say it was tight. It was like 21-21 because we had a kicker and they did too. So the
Nah,
2-point conversion shit never really happened, honestly. So it's like 21-21, and then in the fourth quarter, we just blew the gate off of them. And it was like we scored like 20 points in 5 minutes.
damn.
It was defense. I think we intercepted a touchdown, fumble return touchdown, and then we stopped them. We got the offensive back, and I think like the first play we broke for like an 80-yard touchdown.
Shit,
And,
that was a great game.
but just that like 5-minute span of how wild everyone in the crowd went. When you're on the field and you can feel that energy coming onto the field,
That's the moment.
it was like, oh man, like makes me want to go play now.
Yeah. We're running out of time though. We gotta go to the next one so we can get through. So look, what was the best league you ever played in minor league football? So there's this little, graphic going around with all the different leagues kind of ranked globally. A couple of the leagues that we know about, like the LFA, is up there. But for me, in minor league, the best league that I played in, I personally think was the 5-star, man. The 5-star league. And I was new to minor league, so I didn't really know a lot about what was going on.
Yeah.
I just knew that it was one of those leagues where if you was great, you played in that league, and if you wanted to be great, you was trying to get in that league. Um, it was like 13 teams at the time or something like that, 11 teams. Um, Nobody complained about traveling, but most of it was like pretty local. But
Yep.
like every week you was just going up against like top talent, like surviving in that league, just surviving, getting a win or two in that league was an accomplishment. To be at the top was like you was a dog. So I would say the 5-star. And then right after that, I personally like the way that the ECFL has kind of built things up. Um, I liked what the MLF was. And I would say like playing in the MLF was probably the highest level of football that I've played at. Um, those dudes was nasty. Every team that we played against was nasty. You had to really bring it every week. Um, so I would say like the ECFL and the MLF are the two structures that come right underneath the 5-star for me.
So with the Connecticut Giants, we bounced from league to league to league like 3 times when we played. And the team, by the way, the team that I was talking about was the New York Rebels. That
That's
was
the team. Yeah,
that was
was nasty.
that they hated us and we hated them. Like no love lost between the Connecticut Giants and the New York Rebels.
Yeah.
But I think that was the EFL. I want to say that was the EFL.
Probably. That was probably the EFL, yeah.
So I will say, in playing in the EFL, then taking my leave of absence of football, doing the strongman competitions, coming back, and then joining the ECFL. The ECFL has been, as much as I, make fun of it and talk shit about how many teams there are and all that stuff. I would say the structure of that is pretty much sound compared to other leagues that I've been in. Even though like back in, like the leagues back in when I was playing was way more competitive. I would say like we just had a stacked team. So like that's what I don't think a lot of people that hear about the Connecticut Giants understand is you see our score and our score will be 56-0, 56-3, 64-20, sometimes 35-0. And you're like, damn, these guys were nasty. But it's like, so were those teams.
Right.
Those teams
Right.
blowing out other teams. It's
Right.
just we were that stacked.
Right. And I think that's what the GDFL is supposed to be right now.
Yep.
But I think a lot of the top talent, it's so many teams. You made that point before a couple of times. There's just so many teams, so many places to play. There's a lot of conveniency.
Yeah.
I think football as a whole has changed. Like watching that Giants tape and watching the way dudes was blocking and hitting, and the fact that like the whole first 5 minutes of the tape was running the ball. You don't see that anymore. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of things have changed and kind of created this new culture. All right, let's get to the juice, the meat, and potatoes. We back at it, Mike. They said more ratings. All right, so we're gonna get back to rating these teams. We're gonna get into the fun section. Look what I did. Look what I did. I actually got the division like directions, I guess. So the division titles up next to each division. So the Falcons would have been in the North Division. Warhawks would have been in the East. Who's a big team? The Tide would have been in the South, and the Hitmen would have been in the West for the NFC. And you see all the other teams. Still got the Independents, and then on the other side, I flipped it around. So now you see the Cobras would have been in the North, which is weird. I think I got to switch that. I think the Cobras would have been in the South, and then the Green Wave and the Ducks and those guys would have been in the North, because they are the most northern like division, I guess, in the American Conference. So that's pretty cool. So what I did was I took that same concept and I moved it over like I talked about. And then you see we did one division. We did the AFC West. So we got the Knowles down packed, the Kings, and then we got the Owls and Militia. I left out the special teams. So you see at the top, it says overall offense and then defense. So that's the order.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
All right, so let's try to bang out the whole AFC today. You think we can get that? We can get that.
You can try.
Let's try to get that done. We're gonna try to stay on target with the time too. But first, I want to knock out these independent teams, man. Let's go to the Norsemen. Let's start with the Norsemen. Ooh,
All right. So
the Norsemen is tough.
not really.
Are we rating the Norsemen for who they are now, or are we rating them for what they was in week one? Because what they was in week one wasn't too bad.
I mean, I can only go off of what when I played. We played them.
Ah,
And don't get me wrong, they weren't bad. Like, yes, their record is not great, and they didn't put up a lot of points. But like, I'll give it to those guys. Like, they definitely gave it their all. You know, to a degree.
all right, so we going off the offense we saw 66. I don't even know if that's fair. I think it's just flat 60.
I'll give him a 65 just because.
Ooh.
I'll give him a 60. I'll give him a 65 because there were times where they made a little run, but then we just packed it in. You know what I mean? So it's like they did move the ball a little bit, and then
Also didn't play at all. Ricardo barely played, I think. That was like a Mike Smith game.
I mean, let's be real on that game. This is no disrespect to anyone who's watching from the Norsemen. We didn't get on the field on offense until it was already 21-0.
I got like 3 or 4 carries the whole game, I think.
Like, they really didn't get a chance to play. Like you did play, and it's not disrespecting anyone in the Falcons, but like you did play a lot of the guys that weren't starters or were like rotational guys.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not to say like anyone on the Falcons could have started, but it's just you didn't get those guys.
Nope.
You know.
So 65 offense. What about their defense? I say their defense is the shining like light of that team. Even with the pieces missing,
yeah,
I give them a 77.
All right, I'll give them a solid 70. Only because every time I saw the score, there was a lot more points to very little points.
72.
And granted, I know how defense works, so.
All right, 72. 72.
72. Yeah, I'll give him 72.
72. His special teams was basura. Special teams 65.
I'm sure. I'll go with it.
Yeah.
I'll go with it. Didn't we score special teams?
Yeah, we did twice. And they can't kick a field goal, nothing. Yeah, it was all bad. So the average between the 65 and 72, I think, is like a 68.
Yeah.
All right, so 68. I think we're being nice. I'm gonna give them the bottom of that 67.
All right.
Pretty bad. And that's what we saw of them when we saw them. Once that team left the IFA, like pretty much the majority of that team basically was like, yeah, we're not coming back. They had some real ride or die dudes that stuck it out. So to all those guys on that team, big ups to you guys. Y'all traveled down to Connecticut, took your ass open and went home and continued to play in the ECFL and just travel and do what you had to do. So big ups to you guys. All right. The Lightning, there's no excuse for this team.
The Lightning's gonna hurt, man. The Lightning's
there's no excuse for this team. It's just
no. The reason this is gonna hurt is because I know a lot of guys that play on this team.
Me too. I'm sorry,
but y'all were bad.
Bad.
But you tried. That
offense is a 60.
Yep.
That offense is a
lower. 60. Yeah. I might even say 59.
Does it go lower? 55?
I'd say 59 just because like they could have been a 60, but they just didn't. Yeah. Sorry. I love all of y'all.
I
think special teams was their best thing.
It definitely was. I saw a clip of their defense trying to make a tackle on a running back who was good, but they made him look like Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, Walter Payton all mixed into one. He stiff arming dudes and spinning and jumping up, and I was like, damn. So defensively, 62. 61.
I was gonna go with 60.
All right, fine. I agree. 60.
Say special teams was like a 70.
All right, I'll give him that.
Even though we're putting the special teams in there, but
I'll give him that. So this team is a 59 overall.
Y'all have. Hey, you're a brand new team.
Yeah.
Brand new team. Y'all can come out next year firing.
Recruit, practice, and
Train.
coach better. You know,
Train.
the whole trifecta of everything you must do as a football team. And you will be better than the Badgers at least. So,
True.
all right, let's start at the top. The AFC North, which should be the North, but the AFC North. Let's start with the Cumberland County Cobras. We talked about this team before. Do you need me to pull up their schedule? You need that help again?
I'm gonna need help on a couple of these teams, but yeah.
All right, cool. So let's do it again. I actually figured out how to use this system now. So we're gonna share the screen real quick. Okay, boom. And then there we go. All right. So this is the Cobra schedule. They came out against the New Jersey Militia first game of the year, beat that snot out of them. I honestly think they took their starters out probably like third quarter. Turned around and beat the hell out of the Kings as well, who ended up being the best team in the league. Smoked the Fire 54-zip. Like, as you can see, they're just a dominant team. The Franklin County Tigers is a really good football team, and they pulled that win out, so that's a big deal. But then they lost in one touchdown game to the Kings to end the season off. So that's their only blemish. They traded wins and losses with the Kings.
Yeah.
I seen the tape. I went back and watched the tape, and I'm not really familiar with the team. So the first game that I saw was them playing the Militia, and I could not tell at first which offense was Cobras or the Militia. So the offense to me is a little lackluster. They run like a 3 running back set with big running backs, but they can throw the ball. Is unorthodox, and I think for that reason, like just like going up against like a G Tech or like an Army or something, is just a rough day for you because it's such an unorthodox look that they're actually really good, and I think that helps their thing on offense. So I would like to say like a 90, like a solid 90 on offense, just because you don't really see like a 3-back set as the primary formation today. You don't see that no more. And they got 3 really good running backs. All of them do something different. They're all big. One is quick. One is just a bulldozer. One's a blocker, but also can catch. It seems like he's like a tight end converted to a back.
Yep.
Quarterback is solid. They got some guys that can really run some routes and get out and catch the ball. So, yeah, that's my opinion. But just from the scores, if you just looked at the scores alone, like Mike, what are you thinking about that offense?
I'd say like an 80, an 88.
All right, so we can land in the middle on that. 89.
I'll go 80. Yeah, 89. That's good.
89 works.
Then,
Defensively, though, I will say this: they nasty defensively.
I'm gonna say it looks like it. I don't know what happened that last game, but
the Kings are good. We'll talk about them eventually, but the Kings are really just they're a really good team. When we look at their schedule, you're gonna see how good they are. I think defensively they're like a 91.
I was actually gonna say 92.
Okay.
Just because I'm seeing they did back to back shutouts and then a third shutout down the road. Well, they shut the Delaware Fire 3 times or 2 times, so I don't know if that's.
I mean, shutting out a team twice is tough. Anytime you got to see a team more than once and they get to see what you do, that's just extra preparation. So,
yeah. So I'll say I'll go with 92.
All right.
That basically evens out.
I'm not mad at a 92, honestly. The defensive line is really fast. Their DBs love to hit, and their linebackers are solid from what I saw. You know, not really special, but solid. Gotcha. I think the weak spot might be safety, and that's hard to. It's hard to even say weak. Like that's just their weak spot on the defense. Special teams wise, I didn't see them kick field goals. I think they can kick field. I just didn't see them do it.
They got 2 21s, a 42, a 48, so it's possible. I mean, that could be.
I mean, they gave up some special team plays, but I think it was situational. I'm gonna say like an 85.
85. All right, I'll agree with you. I can't. I don't know anything about the special teams.
The overall lands on a 90, 91.
I think that's fair.
I think it lands on a 91. Okay. All right, so we got to get back to here. The next team up is the New Jersey Unit.
All right, you don't have to. I already know enough about them.
Cool. Yeah, the unit is a well-known team. They're pretty good. So, what do we think about the unit's offense? I think that the unit has one of the best receivers I've ever seen. With Ron playing receiver. He was the guy that I was telling you played D1.
Yeah.
But I remember I played him when he was on the Hawkeyes in the MLF and like terrified the life out of me. Like I was just like, yo, how can you can't really beat this dude. Like you can't stop that. Their running back was nasty too. But they stifled around with the quarterback situation this year. It's hard because I know how much talent is on the team, but you're just not seeing it on the field this year.
So what'd you think? Like 91?
I think like 88.
Okay. All right.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking 91. That's why I said it. Only reason I was saying that 91 is because I know that, they have, like you said, if you're going off of what they have as talent to what they produced, like they still have talent.
Yeah, they still have talent.
You know what I mean? You look at the NFL and you look at some of these college teams, they have all the talent in the world, but then they have 2 losses to teams that, those games that like a Michigan loses to TCU where
Appalachian State.
Like you got like this year where Michigan lost to TCU they lost to, and like we all knew like talent wise Michigan was the better team, but TCU just played a hell of a game.
Yeah, it's one of those situations. I fall on a 90 on that one on their offense.
All right, I'm down for that.
Defensively, they are stout. That's a good defense, but they've been inconsistent as hell this year. Like, especially in the defensive backfield, like they've just given up plays, and it's not like they're not there. Like they're there, they just not on the ball. They're just in the vicinity.
More like a mental awareness type of thing.
A mental awareness, or almost like a lack of preseason preparation. It's almost like these guys didn't work hard enough in the preseason for the competition that they were going to face. And that's the other thing. It was kind of like what you were saying about the Connecticut Giants. Like you take the unit and you put them in like damn near any other league, like in a silo. You just stick them in a league.
Yep.
They're gonna dominate. Like, don't get me wrong, but for the competition that they're playing, I feel like they just didn't prepare well enough. And it seems like guys are just slightly out of place, like they're not reacting quick enough. Like they're not working as a team well enough. You got a lot of individuals doing really good jobs, but then as a team, that one person screws up that one time, it gets taken advantage of. Because you're playing in a competitive league, so you can't have those mental errors. You can't have mistakes.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Talent, there's another situation where like talent-wise, they got the talent, but you're not seeing how dominant they really are on the field. I say another 90. Like I know how talented the defense is, but I've seen the tape of them just getting embarrassed at times.
All right, I'll drop it to an 89, just to be that guy.
All right. Well, 89, 90 is 89 and a half, so 90.
Yeah.
Specials, probably one of the best special teams in the league. Like their specials 95.
Okay. I got to take your word for that one. I don't.
They kick field goals. They run down and kick off really well. Like I've watched a couple of their games and it's consistent.
Special teams, I'm just going to give that one up to you.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent.
All right.
Overall's a 90.
All right. So 2 back.
The Jackals is tough. I only watched one Jackals game. I'm not gonna lie. It was very early in the season. The product that they put since that game is like weird. Let's go to their schedule, because like some games they looked really strong, and in some games it was like, how'd they lose?
Mm-hmm.
And then they went on like a winning streak where it was like, oh yeah. Remember at the time I was saying like, yeah, the Jackals is the team that They bounced back last year and they ended up winning it all as
I remember you telling me that.
As the Jaguars? I think that was their name, the Jaguars.
Jaguars. It was a Jaguar. Yeah, you said that.
All right, so I gotta change the screen real quick. Boom. So they started off with an L to the Owls, who we now understand is a very good football team. Then they lost to the Hitmen, another very good football team. So the Hitmen are playing the Owls. The Hitmen right now are sitting at number 2, and the Owls number 3 overall, with the Knowles at the top. So they lost to 2 of the best teams in the league. Then they smoked the Wolfpack shutout, beat the Tide, who ended up beating the Herd, who at the time when they played the Tide, the Herd I think were number 1 overall, undefeated. Then they beat up on the Kings, who's not really a good team at all. But then they lost to the Unit, and a must-win game for the Unit. If the Unit would have lost that, they would have fell off the map. And then they lost to the Knowles, obviously. But that score is it's closer than I expected. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But then 36 older soldiers, like almost to say, like, all right, we lost 2 in a row, but like, yeah, we like that. You know what I'm saying?
They needed that one.
They needed that, and also the points. Like they put up big points. So they gotta play the Herd coming up in June. And well, this weekend. Tomorrow.
Regular
And,
game. That championship game.
No. This isn't even a playoff game. This is still the regular season. Yeah. I believe this is still the regular season. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I think this is still the regular season, right? Or is this a playoff game?
Because there's nothing saying
No. I think this is round 1 of the playoffs.
Okay.
I believe this is round 1 of the playoffs. Somebody, if you're from the Den, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Let me know. I think this is round 1 of the playoffs. They got the short end of the stick, but the Herd is a beatable team at this point, you know?
Mhm.
But looking at those scores, they're not a bad team. But with a 4-4 record, it looks like a bad team. So when I saw them on tape, they didn't look bad, but they also didn't impress me. Like,
so what do you think? Like 80.
they're you know what they're like? They're like that team in Madden that has bad ratings, like it's like an 84 overall. But like their starters are nice.
Yeah.
So they can compete in every game except for when they play the best teams.
Gotcha.
Then it becomes a shootout.
Well, because even defensively, they look. I mean, I know we're talking offense, but defensively, they're. I mean, other than maybe 2-3 games, like they average. It looks like 16 points a game.
That's it. The Hitmen put up 22 with an NFL quarterback. The Knowles put up 30 with the best talent in all of semi-pro football right now, offensively. The Unit put up 24, and we just talked about how deadly the Unit really is. Like they're a good team.
Yeah. And the Central Penn Hitmen, I've actually played them.
I'm gonna say offensively, that's where they lack the luster. I think offensively they're probably like an 80, 87.
All right, I was gonna go 85.
So we'll go 86, land in the middle. Defensively, I think they're good. I think they're 90. I think they're like defensively, they're close to the Unit.
All right, I was actually gonna say 90 as well.
Yeah, right around like the Unit defensively. Special teams, I really didn't see enough to say, honestly. So I'm just gonna say like, I don't know. I don't see too many like, I don't see any extra points. I see all 2-point conversions or failed 2-point conversion. I'm gonna say 84.
Okay.
Can't kick a field goal. Remember, you can't kick a field goal. You can't be higher than 85.
No.
So
many
talent wise, you might have the talent on the field, but if you can't kick a field goal, all right. And then that averages out to an 88 overall.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. They 4-4. out of all the Den teams that we did so far, like they have the lowest overall. But again, like an 88 is good. That's a type of team. Like if you sleep on them, they'll beat you. They'll beat you. All right, cool. So now we got that's it. That's it for the AFC North.
We didn't skip the herd.
Oh, we did. We skipped the herd. My fault. All right, let's backtrack. And that's pretty much gonna be the time. So it looks like that's what we getting for today.
All right.
But we did 6 teams. All right, I'll take that. I'll take 6 teams.
That's fine.
But all right, so let's do the herd real quick. And when it comes to the herd, let's pull up a record. I mean, I watched a lot of herd tape this year because I couldn't believe how good they were doing when they was 4-0.
Yep.
And at the time, it just seemed like they were playing like really good football teams. You know what I'm saying? That's what it just seemed like. It seemed like they was playing really good football teams. And even though it was shaky at times where it just looked like they were fighting in every game. No game looked easy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It just looked like they were fighting in every game. And the defense had to stand up strong in every game and kind of set the tone. But like to come out and edge the unit was a big deal week 1.
Yeah.
That was the unit at full power, I will say that was the first time the unit had any action as a team. They hadn't played any preseason games or anything. That was their first action. I think the coach made a remark like that was their first time in pads, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they got the win, and then they beat the Wolfpack, who we thought were going to be really good. I think they had the highest margin of victory week 1. Then turn around and they had a terrible season. That was the last time they won a game.
Oh.
But they beat the Owls, and we talked about how good the Owls are. They smoked the Soldiers. Soldiers are the worst team other than the Kings, who pretty much said, all right, we're done. But then they lost to the Tide, and the Tide is another team that's like the Jackals. They're another team that might not have the best roster, but if you sleep on them, they'll beat you. And then it was all downhill from there. It was all downhill. Now, I will say that when they lost to the Tide, that was the same week that we played the Patriots with the whole like typhoon weather storm.
Yeah.
So I talked to the coach of the herd, and he didn't offer any excuses. He said we lost. We had to play better, but he said the weather did play a factor in that game.
I mean, that weather played a factor in all of our games.
The weather played a factor, but then the herd had a chance to really solidify themselves. They had a chance to prove that they was the real deal. They had the Noles and the Hitmen back to back, and they had them at home, both games at home, and both teams went into their house and smacked them silly. So they're not the team we thought they were, but they are good. 41 zip to the Noles, though.
Yeah, no.
Like the Jackals played the Noles better. Now, here's my thing. I keep telling everybody the Noles are sandbagging. You have not seen the Noles at full power. They haven't taken a game serious yet. They going through the motions, being a football team, winning games.
Well,
the Hitmen,
they're waiting for now.
Yeah, the Hitmen, however, the Jack boys played the Hitmen better than you played the Hitmen. Now, you put up more points, but they kept the game a little closer. So tough. I will say this. I know this much. The Herd's defense is the best part of their team. That's what leads the team.
Yeah, I can see that. That Hitman game, let me ask you this question, though. That 18 points, did that come in the beginning of the game or the end of the game?
And
yeah, so that's when the Hitmen took the foot off the neck a little bit. They already knew they probably had the game won, so they just didn't really.
I believe it was a 1-score game apiece at some point in the first quarter, and then the doors get blown open.
Okay.
And I saw some highlights of Dave Legree doing some really
crazy stuff.
NFL quarterback type things.
Oh, yeah.
Running dudes over, making dudes miss, 30-yard rushing touchdowns, throwing dots, like just
he's that guy.
Tearing them apart. So I think defensively I would give him All right. So in a vacuum, you remove the fact that they played the number 1 and number 2 seed back to back. You remove that factor.
Mhm.
And you look at everything prior to that. Offensively, they didn't really they impressed at times. They put up 42 on the Soldiers, but maybe it was a matchup thing because outside of that, they didn't put up big points really on anybody. They put 30 on the Owls, but I think that's more a testament to the Owls defense not being the greatest than their offense being so good. They put up 20 on Jersey, 15 on the Wolfpack, a one-win team. Like they're just inconsistent. It's hard
I
to.
think offensively, you want to go with an 88.
I was thinking of 89.
All right.
All right, 89 for the sake of inconsistency.
Okay.
Bet.
And defensively, I would say 91.
Would I even hold on? I gotta take a step back. Would I even give them an 89? Yeah, they put up some big points at times. All right, fine. I'll give them the 89. They're just inconsistent. Defensively, you said 91.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're taking away the two games, if you're taking away the two big, losses there.
Now that's the thing. Like defensively, I don't feel like you can do that.
Well, no,
as a defensive coordinator, it's way easier to create consistency in a defense than it is offense.
So what would you say, like a 91?
Nah, those you gave up 76 points in 2 weeks.
No, you did. So you say,
but not just that, you gave up 20 to the Owls, you gave up 20 to the unit. Like.
So you want to drop to like an 87?
I say at 88.
All right, I was gonna go 87.
Nah. It's hard to go that low.
I mean, it's not.
Nah, because I know that defense is really good. It's hard to go that low. I'm gonna say a 90.
All right. you did a 3-point swing in 2 seconds.
I'm gonna say a 90 because I know what's on the defense. Like I know they're talented, but when you look at the team in a vacuum, it's like, damn, that defense gave up 100 points in 3 games.
Yeah.
To say that they're talented, but to say that they're that great, fuck.
I mean, I kind of wish they had played the Atlanta City Kings. Do you think the Kings would have scored?
I think it would have been like the Soldiers. I think it would have been a big, like a 40, 50 point swing. This is one of those teams to me, like they embody the we're great until we play other greatness.
Okay. All right.
All
right. Well,
89.
I'll meet you in the middle, and I'll say 89 because I know I said 91 and then I said 87. So I'll switch over. I'll say 89. That way, it's kind of inconsistency and potential. You have an 89.
Again, special teams looks like they can't kick field goals. 84.
All right.
Just straight off the score, it looks like they can't kick field goals.
We already determined that. Can't kick field goals. You under an 85.
Overall's at 89.
It's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, I'm sure some of them will be pissed off, but that's still not bad.
Some of them they gonna be pissed off, but
it's not a 77.
We pulled your record. We pulled your card. Everybody can see you gave up 100 points in 3 games.
Yeah, that's not good.
All right, bet. So when you look at the teams, we'll recap. Cobras. What was the Cobras again?
Cobras, I think you said was a 90.
Cobras 91 overall with an 89 offense, 92 defense. The unit was a 90 overall with a 90 offense, 90 defense. The Herd was an 89 overall with an 89 offense, 89 defense. And the Jackals was an 88 overall with an 86 offense, 90 defense. And you know what? I think if you go back and you look at the scores and you look at the games, it's about that damn even. It's about that damn even.
And if you look at it, just the rankings alone, 7, 10, 9, and 13, that's all in there.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So it's not like there's one team like the East where it's 2, 15, 17, 33.
Facts.
You know,
Facts.
and it's not like we're giving the Crusaders. We'll get to them, but like it's not like we're saying that the Crusaders are a 90, and then the Eagles are a 92.
No.
So it's like I say that's fair. I think it's a fair assessment for the North.
No. So far, I mean, we've been in some really competitive divisions, but we were honest about like the independents. Like those teams are just not very good. And if you look at it, like the Norsemen being a 67 and the Lightning being a 59, that's pretty damn accurate. If they were to play each other, it would look like that.
Exactly.
You know, and just like in the Den, we know these games are really competitive and the teams are really close. When you look at the Den from the teams that we have in the Den, and I'm just gonna say the overalls, right? The Knowles are the number 1 team. They're 99 overall. The Herd is an 89 overall, and they're slightly above the mid-pack. The Owls is a 92 overall, and they're the 3rd best team. The Unit is a 90 overall, and they're mid-pack. The Jackals are 88 overall, and they're at the bottom. They're 4-4. Like, these teams are good, and they're all relatively close to each other, just slightly better in certain areas. And when they see each other, one team gets the edge. So it's starting to, I think the picture's starting to come clearer. I can't wait till we get to, the NFC and we get down to like the Hitmen and the Soldiers.
Yeah.
And we kind of start to put the rest of the Den together. But I'm also interested to get to the TFL. We haven't touched the TFL, the IFA yet. It's going to be fun to talk about our own team. The ECFL has a bunch of teams I want to talk about, like the Bruins and the Cardinals. So we'll get there. All right. We got a few minutes. So last conversation we want to have tonight, arena and minor league football.
Okay.
Semi-pro football. And we're just going to talk about it. Like, there are people out there that will say that arena football inherently is better than minor league football, and I have a problem with that. My problem with that is a lot of these guys that I see having major success in arena are semi-pro football players.
Yep.
They're not straight out of high school. They're not straight out of college. They're guys that took time off, that got, derailed, found their way back on a football field and found their way to a professional level, which was arena, which is the most available professional level for players in the U.S. right now. And my thing is, you have guys playing both at the same time, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you say that arena is better than semi-pro if those same guys are playing? And here's the question. The question is, do you judge semi-pro or minor league football based on the worst or based on the best?
See, I don't know, because it's hard to say, because, all right, from my own personal experience, being that I was that person that played semi-pro football and then transitioned over to arena football and then went back to semi-pro football, it's difficult, because when I played arena, there was only arena football and arena football. There was only arena and arena 2. And then there might be a couple of pockets here and there out in the Midwest that I'd never heard of now. But now that I've been reintroduced to football and out of semi-pro, there's so many arena football teams now, leagues.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, they're not, I think arena football in its heyday, I mean, think about this. Arena football in its heyday had a video game.
Yeah.
So
hold on, we're gonna go back to it. That's the video game logo in the back.
Exactly, right there. At one point, arena football was
big,
owned with the NFL and college football.
Yeah, it was.
But those guys, those guys were the guys that came out of college or got cut from an NFL or Canadian Football League, then went into arena, and then somewhere along the lines, arena, I don't know if it was the marketing, it just lost its luster.
I mean, yeah, remember the LA Kiss?
Mm-hmm.
They had Kiss, the singing group back in it. So you had a lot of like, who owned the Philadelphia Soul again?
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. Like you had a lot of influential people who had a stake in making it popular, and
And
they
they
did.
and they wanted to make it good, unlike Antonio Brown.
Right. They
Now
did.
is not paying his players for paying anybody.
Yeah, those guys were actually making decent money, and you had some NFL dropout quarterbacks,
Yeah.
and you had some really talented guys on the field. Now we have so many leagues. You got the UFL, United Football League.
Yep. IF.
You got the CIF,
There's so many, but
NFL.
and don't get me wrong, like I'm not shitting on those leagues, but it's like I think
Very good leagues.
arena football back in the day, I think you got paid like $80,000 to $120,000. You know?
Oh yeah, you're not getting that now.
No. Now, like when I played arena football for Arena 2 for the Manchester Wolves, I was only making like $475.
That became the status quo.
You know what I mean? Like I was making a minimal paycheck. It was easier for me to leave that and come back to minor league football and take $300 under the table because now I don't have taxes being taken out of 2 different states.
Yep.
I had a tryout with the Philadelphia Soul, but unfortunately I was injured and I didn't make the team. And then there was years prior to my team to going to the Manchester Wolves out in New Hampshire. The Manchester Wolves previously were the Mohegan Wolves.
Okay.
And I had made that team, hence why I made the transition to the Manchester Wolves. But I again got injured because I'm injury prone, and I unfortunately didn't play that season. But a lot of people don't remember Hartford had a team called the Connecticut Coyotes.
That's crazy, yeah.
And that was my first introduction to arena football. They had the smoke, the lasers. Shit was awesome. The games are great. Like I remember going to those games thinking to myself, like, if I can make it here, I made it. Not even thinking of NFL. But
facts.
They folded and I think they moved out to some other location because Hartford wasn't selling enough tickets. But to answer your question, like I think now, if you make arena football, that's great, but it's maybe like if you do like a 5-star system, you put arena football, maybe you put semi-pro football at a 2, minor league at a 3, and arena football at a 3.5.
Right.
There's so many leagues, it's just almost the same. It's just you're in a box.
Yeah.
The only difference, and maybe some of those places you get more notoriety. But if you're on a powerhouse semi-pro minor league football team, you could probably get the same notoriety.
Probably.
Now, it's not like back before. If you got Kurt Warner's making it to NFL from the Barnstormers, you're not having that now.
Yeah.
So it's watered down, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, like, to me, that's a part of the problem is that, like, there needs to be this respect level of the game. I think we're losing respect for the game, and I think it has a lot to do with, like, social media and the way that people have just gotten accustomed to clowning each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, back in the day when you saw clips of a dude, doing incredible things, it wasn't like, damn, who was that he ran over? It was more like, damn, that dude must be that dude if he's doing that. And today it's more like, oh, that dude's a bum because he got ran over. Nah, that dude's not a bum. It's the talent of the guy that juked him or stiff armed him, or the talent of the D tackle that just threw that 400-pound guard to the floor like he wasn't even standing there. You know what I'm saying? It's not that the guy was bad. And I think because of that, like, you've seen the fans dissipate. When the fans lose interest, that's what guys don't understand, is that all that trash talking has a negative effect when it comes to fans. Like at the NFL level, it has the same negative effect. The difference is you have the shield to protect the league. You know what I'm saying? The shield is going to do its job to make sure that those games are still played and people still sell out those tickets. You know what I'm saying? And it's with the NFL, if they have a huge fight on the field and there's a stabbing in the stands and people were throwing beers on the field all in one game, what the NFL is going to do to sell out the next game? They're going to lower the ticket price.
Lower the ticket price. black out. They might black out the next game.
That's it. Next week, you're going to lose football. And then the week after that, you're going to get to go to a football game for 50% off. You know how many people going to fly into that stadium?
Yeah.
Don't even matter the game. If I'm getting $100 seat for an NFL game as opposed to $350,
because you're going to end up getting families that can't afford that on a regular basis.
Exactly. So we don't have that luxury. We have to do things a little differently, and dudes don't realize that. And then a lot of these dudes, because they know they can't play at the next level, they know they don't have just like quite the work ethic, or they might not have the physical ability in certain places. Like they're really fast, but they don't have the size.
I mean, dude, honestly, at this point, I think with football, basketball, sometimes like you can just look good in a uniform and have 300,000 views, and people think that guy's nasty, and you've never seen him play football once.
I know a guy like that.
You know, he looks good in a uniform, and you know maybe he shows some on-field workouts on his videos, and he looks great, but then he gets hit and he's done. You know, I mean, I know some people like that as well, and it's like, yeah, you look good, you know, like you're aesthetically pleasing, and you have, you know, people hitting you up because they want to look like you, but you suck as a football player. Like that's so, and I think social media kind of took away that as well, because even the NFL themselves got into the social media game, a lot of the players, and that's fine. I mean, I think that's good for the NFL, but I think it's bad for the overall bubble of football.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but it is what it is. We're in this world now.
We just got to do a better job as players to do our part. Like, you got to understand that everybody can see what you say. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody was interested in the Den for whatever reason, and they wanted to join the Den Lounge and be closer to the players and really be a part of the information, like just a random fan, and they got in there and they see all this trash talking and you suck and we all suck and everybody just sucks and I'm the best, you suck. They're gonna be like, man, I guess these guys really aren't that good. Why should I even pay attention? They definitely not gonna pay $20 to come see you play. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, the thing too, like minor league football, semi-pro football could be so much better if, honestly, if families weren't afraid to come to the games.
That's all it is.
Some families are afraid to just come to the games because they're afraid that there is going to be a fight breaking out. Am I safe? Am I able to, you know, go to this game and there not be a fight in the field or a fight in the stands because certain people want to make problems? Because some guys, I mean, let's be really honest. I mean, I grew up in a different era. I'll probably get some shit on this one, but like the whole aspect of people saying suck my dick and that being a humongously, now we're going to shoot each other. Like when I was playing, that was thrown out like, hey, how you doing? Like, you know, there wasn't any ill will towards it. I mean, basically you would say that to me and I'd be like, pull it out. And you'd be like, what? And it'd throw the whole game off. And, you know what I mean? Like I'm not.
Pause.
Now it's being said, and dudes are like ready to kill that person.
Well, there's a reason behind that. That has to do with like gang culture, and that phrase has taken a meaning in gang culture. And if you even remotely close to that culture, it's like a non-negotiable. You cannot say that to me.
All right. But
And then again, because of social media and like YouTube and stuff, the pocket where that word and that phrase was a problem has grown across the entire world. Now everybody knows what it means. Yeah. Today, that's basically like saying I'm going to kill you and kill your wife and kill everybody. And you can't do nothing about it.
That to me, that's crazy, especially for
total culture change.
Yeah, for a person who grew up in, and don't get me wrong, I grew up in Hartford. Like I know guys that have done things, and my friends were gang members and stuff like that. I heard that like 3 years ago and saw dudes flip the fuck out, and I'm like,
yeah,
calm down. Not that big of a deal, but obviously I'm not in that life, so it's a little different. Hey, I'm just letting you know the kids are coming out, so I may have 2 kids in the background in 2 seconds.
All right, yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up anyway. That's a fun conversation. You know, you guys comment. Let me know how you guys feel about what we're talking about. let's go to the weekend recap. You know, it was a holiday weekend, so it's not really too much to go through. But
Yep.
ECFL had a game.
I'm gonna mute it real quick for myself because
Good. The Cardinals absolutely smoked the CT Lightning 66-0. There's no surprise there. But then the NEAFL, they both had weekends off for the holidays. The IFA, as you know, is done. CT Falcons are champs. New York Patriots are runner-up. And then the TFL was supposed to have their first playoff game. We talked about this last week. Dolphins versus the Bengals. Dolphins were home. They forfeited. They didn't play the Bengals. So unfortunately,
that actually did happen.
Yeah, that actually happened. You won. You got that one right. Ding, ding, ding. The mic.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. So not a lot of action. We knew the Cardinals would tear the Lightning to pieces. I think they even took their foot off the gas pedal. Honestly, they probably could have put up 100 if they really tried. Lots of clips came out of that game of just ridiculous plays.
Yeah, it was bad. That was terrible tackling.
Yeah, it was terrible. So everybody pretty much got a week off to heal up. So this week coming up, well, tomorrow should be extremely exciting. Everybody should be healed. Guys that were beat up should have had a week off, 2 weeks off, to really get ready. And we are entering playoff season. So
that's
this is
exciting.
going to be a good one. Now, here's the funny thing. When we talk about predictions, we'll start with the NEAFL. They have a game with the Philadelphia Kings taking on the Militia. Always want to show you guys the rankings. When we talk about this, you'll see that the Militia are 23rd overall, and the Kings are number 5 overall, 9-1. I personally said that the Kings are going to win 34-6. They're playing at home. It appears to be a playoff game. So last week I said the NEAFL appeared to have just been over, and they took the best record, but it's not. Not a lot of communication going on with the public. So it looks like a playoff game. Round 1, Kings taking on Militia. I'm saying 34-6. What you think, Mike?
34-6?
Yeah.
I'll say it's going to be a little closer. I'll say 28-12.
8-12.
Same you picked, though.
I could take that. I think during the season they might have had a game that was that close. Let me see. Kings. Last time that the Kings played the Militia, it was 14-12.
Yeah.
And the Militia were home, so the Kings traveled to the Militia. This time they will be home, and also I think it'll be the playoffs. So I think they might turn it up. But Mike, you might get this one again. All right. So we got the Herd. They have to go to the Jackals. I'm saying 18-16 the Herd. I think the Herd will finally kick it into high gear, get it together. The Jackals will stay in the game for a long time, make it a really close one. But I think the Herd might get the ball last and go ahead and go up on the score.
I'm gonna take the Jackals as an upset, but I think it's gonna come down to just a turnover or something along that lines.
Yeah,
changes the game, and I'll say 22-18 just for the hell of it.
Okay, 22-18. Okay, I can see that. We agree on the Herd scoring 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
but depends on the Jack boys whether their defense can step up or not.
If be a mistake made, Jackals will get that mistake.
And there's huge implications to all these Den games. Like I think the Herd has to win. If they lose and they lose by like more than 40, the unit get to move up and there's all these different things. I definitely, before we get off, I'm gonna revisit what they put out in the Den Lounge. The Noles are going to Philadelphia to play the Soldiers. It's a playoff game, I believe. 42-6. I think the Noles absolutely destroy these dudes.
Who were they playing?
They're playing the Soldiers, the Philly Soldiers.
I think it's going to be 35-0. Knowles.
Yeah, that's number 1 taking on number
no-
24. The
I think-
Soldiers are 1-7.
I think the Knowles they're gonna put up points early, know they have the game won, and then just kind of cruise on it.
You said what, 34-0?
Yeah, 34-0.
Okay. Then we got the Owls at the Hitmen. I think traveling to the Hitmen is going to hurt the Owls. I think the Hitmen really in a roll. The Owls are hot too. I'm saying 2024 Hitmen.
I'm gonna go, and I'll say 18-12.
Who? Owls?
Owls.
It's 12 for the Hitmen?
That's
your worst one yet.
Yeah, that's all.
Oh man. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this. They put out a nice little piece.
Well, hey, listen, I'm right until I'm wrong.
Let's see if we can figure this out real quick. Because I seen it earlier. They really broke it down. What would happen if different teams won or lost and by how much? If I could find it, these guys talk all day.
Not bad.
Think I'm getting close. Okay, there we go. All right, so here's how the den plays out. And we talked about all the games. Brooklyn has first place. It doesn't matter, win or lose.
Okay.
But the Hitmen will be the second seed if they beat the Owls. If they lose, they'll be the third seed. The Owls will be the second seed if they beat the Hitmen, obviously. They'll be the third seed if they lose to the Hitmen, but the Herd also has to lose.
Okay.
Now, the Herd will be the third seed if they beat the Jackals and the Owls lose, which is likely. That's likely. The Herd will be the fourth seed if they beat the Jackals and the Owls win. The Herd will be the fifth seed if they lose to the Jackals, and they'll be the sixth seed if they lose to the Jackals and they give up more than 41 points.
All right.
Now, the Jackals will be the fourth seed if they beat the Herd, but they'll be the sixth if they lose to the Herd and the Tide lose. The Unit will be the fifth seed if the Jackals lose. The Unit will be the fifth seed if the Jackals win and the Herd gives up more than 41 points. And then they'll be the sixth seed if the Jackals win.
All right.
So the Unit one is kind of tricky because if you think about it, everything with the Unit depends on the Jackals.
True.
I personally think the Unit is very likely to be a sixth seed regardless of what happens. So that just tells you about all the implications. And then lastly, we wanted to talk about the TFL playoffs, but they just didn't update the website. There's no information. So if they got games coming up tomorrow.
Oh, they didn't update anything?
No, there's no information. So I didn't have enough time to reach out and find out anything. So we don't know about the TFL. I know that the Eagles are number 1, they're 8-0. The Ducks are number 2 at 5-3, and the Bengals are number 3 at 5-3. Then you got the Wolfpack, Green Wave, and the Bengals left. So usually the Eagles would get the bye, the first round bye, because they're the best team, but it leaves an uneven amount of teams.
Okay.
So you would need to have 2 first week buys. And I don't know if there's enough time for all of that. I don't know if
Let's say just do it.
Yeah, I think they need to just get right into it. And if that's the case, then the Eagles would be playing the Bengals. The Bengals probably wouldn't even show up to that game. Then the Ducks would be playing the Green Wave. The Bengals would be playing the Wolfpack. The Bengals could beat the Wolfpack, especially if it's playoffs.
Right.
The Ducks can. Well, listen, the Wolfpack have been that team. They're 4-3. Remember, we was laughing at them talking about they might not win a game in the beginning of the season. They 4-3, 3-1 at home. They went to double overtime against the Eagles at home.
That's pretty good.
traveling out to Granny Road is a bitch. Granny Road is far. Even if you live in Long Island, Granny Road is far. So they're a scary team, especially in the playoffs. The Green Wave being 3-4 is absolutely crazy. They lost to the Eagles twice, I believe. They got a loss for not coming to us, and then I think they lost to the Ducks as well. So the Ducks playing a Green Wave would be a hell of a game. That would be a great first round playoff game, and I think it would beat up either team pretty bad to the point where next week they would be pretty sore. It might affect them going forward. But I personally said that the Bengals and the Eagles would be a championship game. So see if I'm wrong. So we already looking at the rankings. Nothing really changed. Like I said, there was no action this weekend. The Bengals did move up because the Dolphins forfeited to them. Honestly, the Dolphins and the Badgers could probably swap places. Out of the Badgers, Dolphins, and Norsemen, the Badgers are the worst team, but they just don't have as many losses. So that kind of saves them when you think about this power ranking system. But other than that, I mean, the Cardinals won, but the Cardinals won against a nobody team, and look at the teams ahead of them. You know, I'm not sure if the Cardinals are better than the Cobras. I don't think so. I don't know if they're better than the Owls. I don't think so.
I still
Probably
want
not better than the Kings.
I'd still like to play the Cardinals.
I do, but like,
I know.
it doesn't benefit us in any way. You know, that's the honest truth. Like at this point, at this time of the year, it doesn't benefit us. A lot of the players are getting ready for ECFL summer season, and
Is there a chance that we would see them in Atlanta if we get them?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay.
Not a chance. The league is not strong enough. And Jim is doing his best to promote that league as strong, but if you actually look at that spring league, it is terribly weak. Terribly weak. There's 3 competitive teams. One of them is a brand new first year team in the Black Panthers. The Warhawks was an IFA team that moved over.
Right.
And then you got the Cardinals. The rest of the teams are not competitive, not on a national scale. You know, they're competitive with each other. So to even have them ranked where they are is kind of tough with them being in the ECFL. I think if they were in the IFA this year and the IFA stayed how it was and they won out, they would have had to play us. And then whoever won that game solidly, you know what I'm saying? Solidly the best team coming out of that region in AA. For us, we played the Warhawks twice and played the Patriots twice. So it makes sense why we're ranked so high. Like we went through it. We seen the same teams twice. They got a chance to see what we do, prepare for us, and still couldn't beat us. And we're talking about 2 very good teams. So for the Cardinals, I don't think they get in, especially when you think about all the other AA teams out there. There's just so many really good AA teams that I don't think they get over that hump unless somebody making the rankings doesn't know enough about the Northeast to understand that the ECFL spring and summer very different.
Right.
That was pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. I will say this, that I got the Falcons at 3, but if the Hitmen beat the Owls, the Hitmen are going above us.
Fair enough.
Yeah. If the Hitmen beat the Owls, they're going above us because their only losses to the nose. They went the gauntlet against everybody else. So I think that's fair. I would actually put them above the Eagles too. Beating the Owls would be a big deal.
I feel like that's fair as well.
Yeah. But I will say this though, if the Owls were to beat the Hitmen the other way around, I would have a hard time putting the Owls above the Falcons and the Eagles. They have 2 losses. I would have a hard time justifying. So with the Hitmen, it's easy. They're only losses to the nose. But if the Owls were to win with those 2 other losses, yeah, you beat the Hitmen, but now I got to see what you do in the playoffs. You know,
right?
Like it's unfortunate that's just how it goes. Like you drop a couple games, man, and it just it holds you back, especially when you're talking about like the top five.
No, I mean that's how it goes, though. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. It's hard, man, when you got this many teams. Like if you really look at it, like the top 8 teams, I would even fear to say the top 10 teams. I know the unit is 4-4, but the top 10 teams are all really close. I know people talk a lot of crap about the Falcons and stuff like that. And people talk crap about the NEAFL, but the honest truth is those top 10 teams are all really, really good. If you go and watch their tape, they all have something about them that's not the best, except for the nose. The nose are pretty solid everywhere. But
yeah,
if you go and watch the tape, everybody has a little fault in their system, and all these teams do something really, really well. Oh, I would even fear to say like the Ducks, the Black Panthers, the Jackals, the Warhawks. I would say the Ducks, they would have a tough time. The Black Panthers would have a tough time, but the Jackals and the Warhawks, obviously, they'd be able to compete. The Patriots, if they got the guys that they have on a roster, and we all know that there's some double duty with thin players on that team. But if they got the guys they got on their roster, they can compete in that league as well, of like the top 14 teams. And
yep.
the Bengals as well. The Bengals got a lot of den double duty players. They can compete as well. So like, there's a lot of teams that are really good. Like I said this to somebody, just being on the other side, like being on the 17 team side, like the top 17, is like a huge accomplishment. If you finish in that conversation, you're one of the best teams around in the spring.
Exactly.
All right, man. Listen, we talked about everything we need to talk about. I screwed up this week. I didn't get everything set up for the Black Room. So if you was looking to tune in on Tuesday, I'm so sorry. I know who I'm gonna go after. I'm gonna try to solidify that over the weekend to get them on. We'll try to do it June 6th, and we'll do 2 weeks back to back. Do 2 weeks back to back for the Black Room and get the interviews going. My day job has been calling me a lot, bigger workload during the daytime, and trying to get ready for the summer season coming up. So
Yeah, you got a good game coming up.
I got a game tomorrow
Oh,
in Jersey. I'm playing the Central Valley Vikings.
Okay.
In Jersey tomorrow. So we get our first chance to warm up, tune up, get everything right. It does count. It's a full out game, so it does count the Nationals. So we're taking it a little serious, but it's more so to just get ourselves right. And yeah, we got a big game week 1.
All right. Well, I'm gonna definitely hit you up tomorrow and find out how it goes.
Definitely. You got any closing words before we get out of here?
Nah, man. Everybody is for everyone having a game tomorrow. Have good luck. Hope you guys all do well and stay healthy.
Yeah. Man, listen, I appreciate everybody that came out, tuned in to the show. I appreciate everybody that's gonna tune in on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, you share. What's up, Braden? Just make sure you guys, support the channel. You support the show, because all these things that we talk about, like, making a huge NFL like league and getting all the teams to work together and the players to come together and getting better competition and getting like TV deals. In order for all of that to happen, we need something that we can bring to the table to say, like, listen, there's viewership here, there's support here, there's fans here, there's good football here. So, we gotta all work together. So support the channels, like the show, because that's ultimately what the goal is for us, to make the level of football that we're all a part of just that much better. And I was talking to a guy the other day that I work with that lives in Connecticut. I was telling him a little bit about what we do on the weekends, and he was just like, "Man, I love football, and I just didn't even know, and I'm glad that I know now. I'm gonna Google you guys and try to come to a game or two." That's the whole point. That's the whole principle. So appreciate you guys for coming out, and we'll see you at the 50. Peace out.
All right, guys.